Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Roll Call, TTSH Nursing's very own podcast brought to you by the Centre for Asian Nursing Studies. I'm Kim.
I'm Chloe.
And I'm Afina, and thank you for joining us in another episode of Roll Call.
On today's episode, we're going to be reflecting on our nursing journey so far and some of our biggest regrets.
So it's going to be a mix. We'll start first with ours. Each of us prepared one, and then after that, we will be sharing some audience-shared regrets that you guys send in on Instagram.
Yep.
Okay, so let me just start. So my biggest nursing regret, I thought quite a while about what was my biggest regret so far, but I think my biggest regret has been being a type A perfectionist at the start of my career. So let me elaborate, okay? I don't know whether you guys know about the whole type A, type B thing that's going on right now. So type A, I think, is someone who generally is a little bit more, how to describe?
OCD? No.
Very particular. I think very particular, very, in Singapore we say niao. Very niao. So very particular about the way people do certain things. I need to make sure that everything is perfect and everything goes according to plan, that kind of thing. I think some of the skits that people have posted on social media, those nurses, then the person before maybe is handing over a report to you. Then you're like, okay, then what about this? How about this? You keep asking me stuff. Compared to type B where usually, it's the kind of nurse that I come at 6:59 a.m. and then I just come in, I got one pen and one phone with me, then I just finish my shift, hey, no worries, man, a lot more chill and relaxed lah. So I think at the start of my career, okay, generally I'm someone who likes to be very prepared. Yeah, very, very prepared. I really don't like it when things are very unexpected or when things are very, very messy. Oh, I really, really cannot tahan. So I mean, up to now still, I always come to shift at least half an hour before.
Wow.
Yeah, then I will make sure I read out all my cases. I think I showed before on roll call, I have this clipboard. I will draw, I color code and all that kind of stuff because I really don't want to miss out anything. I want to make sure I do things properly, right? So for me, because I'm a very visual person, I really like things to be like that.
Perfectionist.
Yeah. So I think because of that, I mean, even though some might say but it's a good thing, right? Okay, I don't think it was to the point where I will ask my colleagues, excuse me, why you haven't do this? It's not that kind of thing, but it's more of on myself where I'm very type A. So I will make sure by this time I need to make sure that I do this thing. This time I need to make sure that I finish the wound dressing. Then I need to make sure every day on shift, right? I must finish all my things and clock out on time. Because if I don't do that, it means that I'm too slow. That kind of thing. But then I don't really know how to give and take. Some days your shift might be a bit more busy. It's okay to stay back for a while, that kind of thing. So I think it was just a lot of pressure on myself to perform as a SSN already, but I'm just a fresh SN. So that was my biggest regret. Then very stressed lah. Then it manifested physically, forcing a lot because you just keep putting yourself giving yourself that pressure, right? But I feel now, especially as a SSN, I realize some things can just never mind lah, it's okay lah. You stay back a while, do some wound dressing or whatever. You build that rapport with your colleagues. And sometimes your colleagues also never mind, I stay back with you. Then after that we go and eat. Then you just take a chill pill and then you realize that, okay, it's okay. It's okay.
Correct. When sharing your story, right, it just came to me maybe as a new nurse, it's not that bad to be a type A. Especially when everything is new for you and you're not familiar yet with the routine. So having that clipboard, that pen color-coded, I honestly feel it's a good thing. At least you know your routines, everything very well. So it's good that now you move out of it lah. You're more chill. Yeah, kinda.
Actually, for me, right, because I also come to work early. So some people were oh my god, what time already you in the work? For example, PM shift, right? I'm there
I remember
11:30.
there was this one time I was office hours, right? Then I think I was walking around or something. Then at 11 plus, then I saw you.
Yeah, before PM.
Yeah, then I was she was oh, I'm here for my PM shift. I was dude, it's 1 o'clock, bro.
Then before night shift, I'm in the ward 6:30.
Oh, now still?
Yeah, even now still. I already am used to it, right? So I would say I like to be prepared for my shift. Then I will write out all every single detail. Oh, this thing is due. Okay, this one not given. Oh, this one I have to prepare for tomorrow. I know everything. So when something happens, for example, I know maybe someone at another ward needs some help. Then there's some shift in manpower and stuff, right? Then I'm suddenly in a whole new team or deploy. I'm oh my god. Yeah, for real. Then I kind of crash out a bit lah.
So that's usual.
Which is a little bit better now that that I can cope with it in a, like with this change lah.
Yeah.
But of course, I still like to be a bit more prepared for my shift lor. Yeah, but I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Thanks, girl.
I feel like every ward have that one nurse that always come early. So I got one friend like similar to you. He will come like 2 hours before shift. So one time before afternoon shift, right? Suddenly he come at 12 p.m. Usually he come like 11 plus. Then every day I was like, hey bro, you late already leh. You late already. Oh my god. Like how come you never come on time? Yeah. It's like I feel like every ward, everyone has that nurse.
Yeah, like sometimes when I'm supposed to come on shift, let's say my morning shift, if I ride to work, right, I'll reach about like 6:05. So this time I was taking public transport.
Yeah.
And then after that, like 6:30, I haven't in the ward yet. Then after that, my friends were like, "Oh my god, where's Chloe?"
Where's Chloe?
You should be late.
And then they called me and they're like, "Hey, where are you? Are you awake?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm in 7-Eleven." So I guess in a sense, you know, people will notice if you're not around.
Correct.
So it's like heads up.
Okay, I'm glad to know that I'm not alone. Because like in my ward, like I am that one staff. You know what I mean? So glad to hear that there's other me's around.
That's right.
Thank you. Okay, I think Chloe Ron is next.
Okay. One of my biggest regrets, I guess this was also in the earlier part when I'm still a very new nurse, still trying to get used to the hierarchy and like being around those more seasoned nurses, is not standing up for myself to rude patients or next of kin or even sometimes our own colleagues lah. Yeah. I feel sometimes it may be like very simple things of like misunderstandings. Like for example, something is not done, maybe like due to time constraint or it's something that's overlooked and all, right?
Yeah.
And then like someone just like lashes out at you and then you just take it. Yeah. So like at the point of time, even though you know like it's not your fault, but then you're still like, oh okay, I'll just keep it in. Like okay lah, or maybe I can do better, that kind of thing. But after a while, then I kind of like knew how to fight back lah.
Stand up for yourself.
Yeah. I mean like for me also, I remember there was this one time when I was like quite a young nurse. Then I think this family member came. Then she was like very frustrated about something. I can't remember, something about like physiotherapies or people keep telling her different information or something like that. So she was very, very frustrated. No, I think like at that point in time, she was trying to take it out on me. So I remember I was still a bit new. So in my head, I had this conflict like, should I say anything or not? Or should I like just keep quiet and just like, it's okay, it's okay. But I don't know, like maybe at that point in time, I'm like, ooh, like, you know, like I feel like, you know what?
You're gonna rock it.
Today's the day, girl. So I think I obviously professionally and respectfully, but I like kind of like told her like, no, I think that I feel like there's some kind of misunderstanding. Actually, it's supposed to be like this. Then I clarified and checked it with my notes also, like the patient's notes and everything. So it pays off to be a type A sometimes, because like you know the knowledge is like there on my clipboard, you know. So I think I like pulled out all the receipts and everything. Then she was like, actually, after that she calmed down a lot. Then she was like, actually, okay, thank you for explaining. Then now I understand. So sometimes I think like people feel like, okay, when people just let them scold me, just let them ventilate or whatever, sometimes they just need the outlet. But actually, it helps to, like sometimes you really just need to sacrifice and build up the courage to say. Then actually it's to their benefit and your benefit also.
I think the confidence like plays a big part there. Because like once you like know how to stand up for yourself, then you're confident in like explaining things to like, you know, patients or like the next of kin or even like colleagues, right? Then they'll be like, oh, maybe she's right. Or like, you know, then they were like second thing and then like they were like toned down a little bit. It kind of gets better.
It's a newness struggle.
Yeah.
I think the things that we share is very newness.
Correct. And I remember my time, like when I was a student, right, I was following this senior nurse. So I was trying to give medication to my patient, which was quite elderly, and the next of kin was at the bedside. So I was trying to tell her, like, okay, auntie, it's time to eat your medication. And then the next of kin was just like, oh, you have to speak Chinese because she cannot speak Chinese. And then I just look at the next of kin, I say, oh, but I can't speak Chinese because I'm Malay. And then he made it like, in a way, like his remarks was quite rude. He said, how can you not know how to speak Chinese? You're Singaporean, like, you should at least know how to speak Chinese. And then the nurse that was with me, like, she stood up for me, and then she said that, but not all Singaporeans have to speak Chinese. What? Our main language was English. And after that, she just like walk away and then I was just like, yeah, what she said. And then I just followed her. But I feel like at that point, right, it feels good to have someone to like, you know, stand up for you, especially when you're like young and you don't have that confidence yet. Yeah, you know, like having like somebody around, just like, wow, solid, you got my back. So maybe if you're in that situation or you see like someone being like, you know, criticized or like being stepped on, like, I think it's good for you to actually speak up and actually help them. Yeah, you don't know how it might impact them also.
But definitely sometimes, I mean, need to be very aware of like what state of mind you are in on that day also. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Okay. Let's for reals. Okay, say real. I don't know whether it's too TMI. Currently right now, my period is coming. So I know that like I will snap a lot quicker at people, I can, like, my inner thoughts, I can feel like, like
The
it's not like
rage
the
is there.
hey, yeah, it's not like, hey Kim, hey girl, life is so good. It's the so like at this point in time, like if I know that if someone, like, say example, like say something rude to me or whatever, right? Sometimes at this point in time, it will be more wise for me to just be like, yeah, and then take a step back, because I know that once I open my mouth,
It's over for you.
It's
Yeah.
over. It's over. But sometimes, like, like, if you catch yourself in a good mood, or and you trust, like, okay, actually, I think I have the capacity to, like, respectfully and tactfully stand up for this person, or say this certain thing and explain the situation, all that. Then, of course, by all means, like, we should encourage that kind of culture, lah.
Correct.
Yeah. All right, girl.
Yes.
Okay, so mine is a bit sensitive. So it's having to restrain critically ill patients. So having to wait in ICU, like some patients are like really very sick. So I can remember this one patient, he was like in his mid-90s. So he had all the lines that you can think of in the ICU. He was intubated, he had his central line, then arterial line, IDC, NGT, everything. So we had no choice but to restrain him to also like protect himself, because we don't want him to pull out any tubes and it will be an immediate medical emergency, right? But like until now, until today, I can still remember like the look he had in his eyes. Like every time I had to tie him down.
He was
like,
alert, like.
He was alert, yeah, that's the worst part. Like he was alert. Like even though he was on sedation to help with the tube tolerance, right? But he was alert. Like when you talk to him, he can give you like hand signals and everything. So like consciously he's still there, but like no choice, you have to restrain, right? Then every time like I have to tie his hands down, right? Then he'll just look at me with that sad eyes. Then I'm just like, uncle, I'm so sorry, but I have to do this, So sometimes like that incident teach me like, yes, we always advocate for patient safety, but sometimes also it's good to advocate for their dignity. Then, like it's not a easy topic. Like even though clinically you have to restrain them, but it feels wrong emotionally. And it's like the decisions that we make every day that sometimes stay with us for a long time. So, yeah. But if I had to redo what I had to do, right, I would still probably restrain that patient, because I know I'm saving him for like future harm and pain. Because imagine if he pull out anything, he'll be in so much more pain. And then you have to like re-intubate him, which is even more severe. So, yeah, I think that's the regret that I have to keep with me.
I think that's the thing about nursing, right? Like in a lot of situations, I feel like it's like being able to find that balance. So sometimes you have to do things because in the name of safety, or in the name of making the patient be better, like feel better, right? And improving the medical condition. But sometimes it's really like, how can you then insert humanity and dignity in the process? I think that's something that I also had to like try to process. So for example, like if let's say like really no choice have to restrain, then the way that you talk to a patient, I feel like matters. So sometimes you can be like, uncle, I'm really so sorry, I hope you understand. Rather than be like, then you're like, then sometimes very noisy, then it frustrates and confuses them even more, then things get very loud and everything. So sometimes like calmly just like talking to them, or maybe like just like providing a bit of touch to like sayang them a bit. Like sometimes some of my patients also, where like some aunties, right, keep pulling out stuff or keep on like, sometimes for patients, like for my grandfather last time, in his like later stages of dementia, right, he will subconsciously keep scratching and feeling his skin. So his skin on his arms were
all scabby,
all like actively bleeding, that kind of thing. So I mean, I cannot just be like, no, it's okay, like like there's like, you need to protect him physically and medically as well, right? So in those kind of situations, then I mean, like the nurses had to restrain him down. So I think what I observed was more of the way that they did it, Like you try to make sure that they're in a calm state. You don't really like go and fight with them. Then you try to calm them down, be like, okay, uncle, then like, come, I put this one for you. Or you put the meats, then just like, then you just don't tie so tight. Just make sure that they're comfortable. Like just try as much as you can in that process to do those
sayang them, make it better, right?
I think it is a dilemma that we all face every time. Even I would say not just on restraining patients, but sometimes when we have to withhold certain things like diet, even
True,
thing,
that's true.
even though we explain it and really try to get them to understand that it's for their own good and that we have certain procedures that we have to follow, but it's very hard to get through to them, especially when they are feeling this discomfort at the moment.
100%.
Okay, shall we read the questions?
Yeah. This episode is a little intense, guys. Okay, let's try to but some of the online submissions are also a little intense. But let's see how we can navigate through that together. Okay, so I think one common thing that a lot of people send in, the main topic that it revolves around is like passing on, whether it's their patients or like their friends And I think maybe Afina, you wanna kickstart this since it kind of like links to what you were sharing about also.
Yeah. Okay, so somebody shared that he or she was not able to revive their badminton buddy from cardiac arrest. So
Hey, that's crazy.
it's not easy, I know.
Yeah, then some people also shared that like I think some of their very nice patients suddenly passed away, so they thought like, what could they have done better? And I think like relating to that, I mean, maybe I'll just like read all of them out lah. So someone said also not giving my patient one tiny sip of coffee before they passed on. And then someone also said, I was working and didn't manage to see my grandfather one last time, bro. That's
all very hard topics. Wow.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, well, what do people call it? It's not survivor's guilt. Is like you are also a victim of the thing, right? But we have a lot of what's that called? Is it secondhand
guilt?
Like,
you know
is
what
it
I
a
mean?
thing? Is it like...
I remember there's this term, but I literally forgot what it means. If I find out by the time we're editing this episode, right, we'll put it across the screen.
Like somewhere here.
But I literally can't remember what it means. But basically, it's like you like indirectly feel a lot of like this guilt and all that kind of stuff, even though maybe like we didn't directly obviously harm the patient, right? But there's a lot of just like thoughts and overthinking about how like what could I have done better? What should I have done better in that situation? I don't think it's a nursing specific thing. Like definitely in all areas of healthcare, like we will have to process this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just especially hard and it's like it hits like as a big regret, you know, because it's a death what still. So I don't really know. For some people, like for them, it's easier to process. Like especially for us, since we like kind of work closely with like life and death situations a lot of the times. But for some people, when especially they're new to nursing, then it kind of hits them very hard lah. Yeah.
Correct. But I think what's important to remember is that don't blame yourself too much. Like this kind of thing, especially death, it's not something that you can control, right? And like in this situation where you feel like your patient's death and then you feel like emotionally attached, which I mean is good. I feel like in my opinion, if you be able to build that rapport with the patient, right, it means that before the patient passed on, she probably had a good experience with you. So you probably can take that as like, you know, a positive
comfort.
Correct, yeah.
I remember I was on morning shift one day and then my dog died at home.
Your what?
My dog died at home. My old sweet Terry, R.I.P. Like she died at home and then like I was on shift. And I remember I was like, oh my gosh, like I literally can't do anything. Like what can I do now, right? Like on shift, I have to wait until I can hand over or whatever. But then I think if I remember correctly, I think my unit nurse manager at the point in time, shout out Sister Padma, like she was making her rounds and then she saw me like crying in my sister's office. Then she was like, what happened? I said, my dog just died. Then she was like, oh dear. And then that day she let me go home early.
Yeah, oh my god.
So she let me go home early. And I think like when certain relatives also were like very ill, then like my ward also like were flexible enough to like, they were like, okay, how about these few days, like you can go back 1 hour earlier, then we just slowly pay back on other days, like once things are a bit more settled, that kind of thing. So even though obviously it was a very sad experience, like okay, it was very difficult at that point in time, but retrospectively, like looking back, I'm very thankful for all the people that stepped up to give me that flexibility and like to support me at that point in time. So I try more to focus on that, and at the same time how like it's okay, like I was at work saving lives. Like my dog died, but I like saved like don't know how many patients under my care that day, but I saved that number of lives. Like you need to find these ways to, I think it's a coping mechanism kind of thing.
I think
but
it
like,
kind of is.
it definitely is lah. But I think the way it helps with the way that you process certain things. And I think I mean some people can focus on that. Some people also use like things like their faith and all that to also process things and just come to terms with the situation.
I think having someone to talk to works, like, you know, especially like if someone is actually there, the situation with you, and then you kind of talk it out and see how you all could have done better, and then just move forward from it, like, try to close the situation. In a sense.
Chapter.
And I feel like you shouldn't be afraid to communicate with your nursing manager, especially if you're going through all these hard times. Because most of the time I can guarantee they're also human. They probably lost someone or like their loved ones, and then you can also relate to it. So most of the time, from what my experience is, they will try to accommodate. Like I had one friend whose hamster was about to die and she was night shift. And then she called in to my nursing officer and they actually give her like special EL to like let her, you know, settle the hamster.
Hamsters die very easily, no?
Wait, hamster, or was it a rabbit? It was one type of pet. Okay.
Yeah, I know like some people say like hamsters, like sometimes they like strain when they are pooping too hard and they just like get hurt
Oh
and
my
die.
god.
Oh.
Are you serious?
Yeah, hamsters. Very fragile animals. Sorry, a bit off the bit.
Yeah. Okay.
That's serious, ah?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh my god, you remind me of one patient that I had. She was constipated, right? And then she was training so hard, she went into SVT. And then it's like,
Inside the toilet?
no, in our ICU bed. And then, because you can see the
right,
heart monitor,
right.
and then suddenly she was showing SVT. Then everyone was like, what's going on with her? And she's like, sorry, I need to poop. And they were like, yeah, remind me of that. Okay,
Hey
that
guys,
incident. Okay,
don't
sorry.
strain your poops
Off
to
track.
prevent hemorrhoids and to not like pass. I had a patient that passed out in the toilet also because she was trying to poop so hard. And she like passed out when I was a student. And then I pressed the code blue button because I thought she died. And we carried her to the bed and everyone was, then we took them, they were like, her blood pressure is fine. Then they were like, oh, she just passed out. Okay, anyways.
At least you reacted.
Yeah, I was like, guys, at least
Yeah,
at least she's alright, you know. Okay. Okay, I think the next one is quite relevant to what you shared just now, right?
Yeah.
Workload and workplace.
Yeah, some people like they just submitted. They said, one of the regrets is being too nice and everyone taking advantage of it at work, and also not knowing the work dynamics beforehand and understanding the workload lah. So I think this is very common between all the new nurses, among the new nurses. Yeah, and like okay lah, because at school, right?
Yeah.
Then everyone's on the same page, roughly around the same age group. So everyone has like similar kind of interests and like
the way you communicate,
generation
like
lah,
that kind of thing.
So when you come to a workplace and then there's people from different countries, there's people from different age groups, and then the way you interact and the way you're brought up and all, everything comes into play. Yeah, so sometimes there's a lot of misunderstanding, sometimes there's a lot of friction between different people lor.
Yeah. And I think like with regards to the part about underestimating the workload, right? I can completely agree. Because like obviously in nursing school, as hard and as much they try to prepare us for real life nursing, I feel like you will never be able to replicate it 100%.
No.
Like the kind of responsibility that you will have and all that, like I really, like even during my last few attachments, like even though you take like that amount of workload and you're under supervision, you're expected to do everything by yourself, like but once you graduate, I don't know, it feels like 10,000 times more intense.
And then it's like even worse once you like graduate from being a new nurse and then you're independent. It's like another tenfold worse.
Yeah, correct. I think that all those are very, very common, especially in newer nurses. I feel like it's a thing that everyone needs to kind of go through at a certain point in time. Then you learn, then you're like, okay, then it's something that you will always tell the next generation, but the next generation will never fully understand it until they reach your generation. You know what I mean? Correct. Yeah, so I think we did talk about certain tips and how to help and overcome it in our previous episodes, if I'm not wrong. We did quite a few on like new nurses, and just tips that we have to share from our experience as well. So you guys can check out those episodes if you want to find out more, if you haven't yet.
You should.
Yeah. And I think the final like topics that people sent in, right, is kind of relevant to like health. So someone said that they did permanent night for 1.5 years, which messed up their health, but they had to because I think of their kid at that point in time. And someone also said that they didn't really take care of themselves and their mental health first. You guys have any thoughts about this?
It's quite a real thing.
Yeah.
Like I have some colleagues also who they have to do permanent nights just to take care of their kids in the daytime, and or like switch between like the husband and the wife. Yeah. So they have to do perm nights, and then they said like their body deteriorating so fast, their hair is dropping, and then like they cannot sleep, and then they still have to care for their kid.
Perm night is usually 4 days.
4 nights,
right? 4
then
nights
3
in a
days
row
off,
and then 3 days off. Usually, is it?
Actually, it depends. So basically, for you do nights, but the most nights you can do in a row is 4. Yeah, so usually the permanent night shifts is based on the hours that accumulate also. For like day shift lah, so we have 80 hours for 2 weeks, right? Is it?
I remember.
I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah.
Roughly lah, roughly. So for night shift also roughly around there. So in that sense, they kind of have like 1 extra off day for every 10 days. Something like that.
Yeah. Wow, but I also have friends who thrive in perm night.
Same.
So it really depends lah. Person to
Correct.
person, it really depends. But I think, especially for those that have to like, some do perm night because like you want that 3 days off. Then your 3 days off, you can like chill and go out and all that, right? But then for some, like they need the permanent night because in the day they still have things that they need to do.
Correct.
Wow, that one really respect because it's just 24 hours of working, man.
Correct. It's like even for me now, I'm doing like 2 nights and I'm already like dying after that. I can imagine like my colleagues who can do like 4 nights straight. and still like function at the last night, you know. So really respect.
That's
And for the person who submitted her question, she said she do it for her child. So I'm sure your child appreciate your presence being there with them
I
during
think
the
that's
day.
super tiring because, of course, usually the child is like quite young.
Yeah,
Still has like
correct.
kind of need like almost 24 hours kind of surveillance.
Yeah.
It's
Surveillance.
Attention.
Okay. It's probably quite tough for her lah. So I think sometimes usually this needs to be talked out with like the manager sometimes. I have heard of some people who actually take like some periods of leave lah, just to stay home with the kid for a while.
I think these kind of things, like it is important to pace with your bosses. Because for example, right, like I might want to do perm night because maybe like, okay, I want that 3 days off. You know, like I want like my weekends to be off. So I want to clear and have those 3 days in a row off. But sometimes speaking to your seniors or like your bosses about it first might help, because they usually probably have a bit more experience like dealing with people who do perm night, or like they also maybe like for some of them who work very long already, maybe there were certain periods of time where they do perm night. And I mean, okay, for example, for me, who is someone who like falls sick quite easily, right? I feel like if I do perm night, even though I will reap the benefits of the 3 days off, the 4 days I feel the chances of me falling sick because my body really cannot take it, right, will be very, very high. Yeah. So I might like insist that I want to do perm night because of that, but sometimes the older ones might be a bit wiser, then at least they can advise you a little bit more whether it will be a wise decision or not. Let's see how they can accommodate maybe in other ways when they're doing roster, for example. So it's an active conversation that you need to have with your work people. Yeah, lor. Then I think like with the mental health one, we've talked about it quite a lot of times also, that for the sake of coping with the workload and the transition, that a lot of us just sacrifice and tank it mental health wise. I think earlier also when Chloe was saying that, you know, you never stand up for yourself, that kind of thing. Those are the kind of situations also where I feel like
it builds up.
Then you sacrifice a little bit of your mental health in that point in time also. So just make sure to not let it accumulate.
Yeah, I think it's important to find an outlet, be it someone you can speak to or any activities that you can join, support groups and all. It all helps.
Yeah, 100%. So especially in a profession that is as tiring as nursing, I think how we want to end the episode is just to remind everyone that, I mean, of course, bringing back to our regrets, right? Like, YOLO. You only live once, man. No, I'm just kidding. You can't, like, how to say, there will be a lot of times and situations in your nursing career where there will be these moments where you feel like, should I have done things better? Should I have done it like that? It's what I'm doing the most, like the best way to do certain things. But I think what I want to do is like encourage people to look forward, try not to look back too much. Obviously, it's important to look back and reflect and see how you can be better, but always look forward. There's always time to do things better and to change. Especially in difficult scenarios. But I think with regards to the whole, like a lot of people are talking about like their health as well, right? So just remember that in nursing, it can be a very draining and tiring career. So just remember that you need to pour into yourself first, because you cannot pour from an empty cup.
What she said.
And that concludes our episode. With that, we've come to the end of this episode of Roll Call. Do remember that you can also check out this episode on Spotify and Nurses of TTSH.
Do give our channel a follow and ring the notification bell to get notifications. Is it? Ring
every time, girl. Every time we film.
It's okay. It's a mouthful. It's alright.
It's a mouthful.
So do give our channel a follow and hit the bell to get notifications for every new episode.
And follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Nurses of TTSH. So we'll catch you in the next episode of Roll Call. Have a great shift, everyone. Bye.